delicate pronouncement of our IT guru, Mr. Peters. Oh, sorry. I'm Deborah Allen, co-chair of the Jobs Committee. I am calling our meeting of February 21st, 2025 to order. May we take a roll call?
All right, Bates. Nope. Doherty. Penesis.
Penis here.
Strathman. Young.
Here.
Allen.
Allen present. And
Lewis.
Madam Chairman, Lewis is upstairs meeting with Madam Chairman and will be here shortly. So we'll just wait for her, but let's get started. May I have a motion for unanimous consent of the minutes of January 17th, 2025?
I move for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Penesis. Is there any objection or any correction? I'd just like to take this moment to say that our recording secretary, Rachel Santara, has just done a lovely job with minutes of this committee and E&E.
Madam Chair,
I'm
microphone.
sorry. I am commending our recording secretary. Is this better?
No.
It's not better. There's lights on.
Get nice and close.
Gotta get a little close.
We'll try this again. Is that any better? Okay. I wanted to take a moment, having approved the minutes, to commend our recording secretary, Rachel, for just making the minutes for this committee and E&E and agriculture, all ones where you actually feel like you know what happened at the last meeting. So thank you for the good work. Is there anyone who cares to make public comment? Otherwise, we will move on to our business, our priorities. Our first motion, our first ordinance this morning has to do with amending section 2-48 of the Kane County Code Standing Committees to revise language related to the Jobs Committee. May I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Strathman moves and second.
Second.
I made a second.
Okay, Mr. Penesis, I saw first, so we will now go into discussion. Is someone leading this or? Okay, thank you.
Chris Toth speaking. Yeah. So with regards to section 248 of the Kane County Code, back in 2022, that was a while ago, the Jobs Committee at the time came together as a group to just update the language of the Jobs Committee. It had been about 9 years prior to that since the language of the Jobs Committee had been changed. Just a quick overview of the updates or changes. The main thing that this ordinance will do is remove the co-chair position. We'll still have 7 board members on the Jobs Committee, but just a singular chair. It does remove some languages about the Jobs Committee having programs to do with the veterans returning from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. The discussion at the time was that was better served for our Veterans Affairs Department. It also removes the Kane County Sparklers from the duties of the Jobs Committee. Again, that was just better suited for a different group to handle. And also it defined the Workforce Development Division as under the Kane County Jobs Committee's jurisdiction. It was very vague about employment and education, so we just wanted to tighten the language. And then there was just some other minor removals and changes.
So mostly it's housekeeping, and we're just bringing this committee into the standard for most of our committees that have a single chairman. I will send, I did a little memo when this first came up last year that I, though I have enjoyed being co-chair with Anita, that I didn't know why this committee had a co-chair. And I believe that out of development flowed energy and environment, out of development flowed agriculture, out of development flowed the Jobs Committee, as their importance in the committee, importance in the county became more prevalent. And the other committees were created with a single chair, so it didn't really make sense for this one to have co-chairs. So this is also a kind of housekeeping, and I support it. Possibly the one exception was when legislative was created, it was designed with two co-chairs for the reason that there would be a Republican and a Democrat. So that if someone needed to approach a partisan elected official, one would be able to say, well, I am the Republican co-chair, or I'm the Democrat co-chair of this committee, and I'm coming to you with a problem that we need help with. So I don't know how that will work out, but I know that that was the original thought. So is there any discussion on this? Anybody who wants to jump up and down and say, I should stay co-chair? Okay, why don't we call for the vote? Rachel?
Okay. Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Genesis,
Hennessy's yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Young,
Yes.
Allen.
Alan, I.
Point of order, Ms. Chairman.
Why don't we
point of
recognize
order.
Mr. Doherty now that he's here?
Yeah.
Mr. Doherty, you wish to participate in this morning's
There we
meeting?
go.
Yes, please.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes, please.
Okay, and any objection? All right, welcome. We're glad to have you here. All right, let's move on to the next one. This is a resolution authorizing a second contract renewal with our very talented expert, JEG 360 LLC, for consulting services as an economic advisor for Kane County. May I have a motion and a second?
Strathman will move.
Strathman moves,
Hennessy second.
and this is seconds. Thank you. Discussion.
Sure, I'm available. Mark Van Kirkhoff. I can answer any questions, but as Madam Chair said very nicely, this is a second extension to the contract for JEG 360. Mr. Grueling sitting next to me here as our economic advisor. It also sets an additional up to $95,000 for this coming year for his work for us. And I would just add, I just can't say enough of what Mr. Grueling has done to support this effort for doing our strategic plan, for working with the regional economic development efforts, talking directly to corporations and businesses looking to come or expand in Kane County, and then now really doing the heavy lift and a great job of launching our first ever economic development corporation. So staff highly recommends that you approve this contract extension to allow them to continue working with us. Thank you.
Well, again, we commend you for creating something out of thin air. It's always hardest to do that. And if we needed to buy a staffer with benefits, frankly, it would probably be more expensive than you are. Is there additional discussion, questions? May we have the roll?
Doherty,
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you, Mr. Gripe. I'm sorry. Go right
That's
ahead.
okay. I was late raising my hand. Thank you, Madam Chair. Mark, I'm curious. I think this is the kind of consulting agreement I love because they end up making more money or creating more revenue than they cost. Any sense like 2-to-1, 3-to-1? Any idea?
Oh, wow, that's tough to measure, and I guess it'll be the time frame that you measured. So if you look at success in terms of businesses expanding or a new business coming and investing in Kane County, that the return on investment is really over decades in terms of improvements to real property tax revenues, job creation, all those types of things. A lot of these companies end up, giving back to the community through a foundation or just through, other efforts. So I'm not sure how you measure that return on investment, other than that it's over time. And I will note also that his contract is being paid for out of the funds that were set aside for the Economic Development Corporation. So this is not coming out of any other general revenue funds or anything. So I'll add that also, but I hope that answers your question. But
Yeah, it kind of does. You might ask him, because I think if we could quantify that, that's a super story to be able to tell. We spent this and created, and it's going to be estimates kind of thing, but that would be an amazing story to be able to tell to the voters.
If I may, and thanks for the kind words and the support. One of the things that we will be doing as the Economic Development Corporation for Kane County takes off is we'll be seeking investors from the public and the private sector, primarily the private sector. And the case to be made is always demonstrated in some sort of return on investment. So what you're asking for, the corporation will, on an annual basis, specifically be able to identify those kinds of impacts. And there's primary impacts, usually in job creation, wealth creation from new wages and benefits, investment in property, purchase of personal and real property, and then ultimately the tax base and just overall gross domestic product of the county as it improves. So we'll be measuring all kinds of different points.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments or cheering or jumping up and down? Would you call the roll?
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Genesis,
Hennessy's yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Young,
Yes.
Allen.
Allen, aye. Thank you. Our next resolution is approving a contract extension with Hay and Associates Engineering Company for the completion of the Fabulous Fox Water Trail Infrastructure Project. May I have a motion in a second?
Move.
The Strathman is moving and
Again, yes.
may I have a second?
Hennessy's second.
Thank you, Mr. Pennises, and discussion.
Yeah, good morning again, Mark McKirkhoff, and happy to answer any questions. Julia Tavong is with me. She's been primarily our staff person working with the grants and the ARPA funds and the contracts for the Fabulous Fox National Water Trail. Hay and Associates is the engineer that we, the county board contracted with to do the civil engineering design needed for the actual 5 launch sites that we are also under contract with Earthworks to construct in this calendar year. Their original contract needs to be extended, one for the time period, but then also for an additional amount for their services during the actual construction oversight and questions that come up during the construction phase. That was not part of the original contract because when we originally put them under contract, we didn't even know how many launch sites we were going to be doing. So it was really impossible to quantify at that time. So this is based on their projected services for services during construction for the launch sites. And again, we're happy to answer any questions. This is being paid for by the ARPA funds and a state grant that were allocated and set aside for this project. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Van Kerkhoff. Mr. Doherty, you have a question?
Yep. Mark, is it all being paid by ARPA funds and state grant? We're not paying anything out of the King County funds?
Yeah, so part of our state grant from DCO, we do have a local match, and that's being paid for out of our Economic Development Fund 400. But primarily, it's the ARPA funds and the state grant.
So how much are we paying? I'm sorry.
Sure, I'm sorry, I don't have that number in front of me. I need to verify. A lot of our match is being paid for by the ARPA funds, so I don't know that we actually have any funds coming out of Fund 400 for this part of the project, which is the infrastructure construction of the launch sites.
Right, but this is for the engineering of it. This is not the construction of launch sites.
Correct. It's the engineering needed for the construction.
Right, so how much money are we paying for the construction?
The overall project is about 1.46 million. Most of that is the construction costs and the engineering costs, and it's all being paid for from ARPA funds and our state grant match.
Okay, so the county's not paying anything.
We're paying using our ARPA funds, yes.
Yeah, okay, we're using ARPA funds, but it's not county, no county money is going in.
Now, general funds is.
Yes, no, there's no general fund money at all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for clarifying.
excuse me if I'm being redundant, but am I correct that some of the sites will be more difficult and some of the sites will be less difficult and this consultant will try and make a guesstimate as to what those costs will be so that we can schedule them into the money that we have?
So actually, past that point, they did that point as part of their initial feasibility and then their preliminary engineering, working with the property owners, which in this case are Village of Carpentersville, Village of East Dundee, Village of South Elgin, City of Batavia, Batavia Park District, and the Village of Montgomery, Fox Valley Park District. So they did all that work, came up with designs based on the needs for those launch sites. When we went out for bids, we were fortunately able to be able to afford Board Safe, which is the best in the market out there for accessibility by many abilities for these sites. So we're very excited about that. And then we went out to bid last fall, and the successful bidder was Earthworks, and we're in the process of getting the Army Corps of Engineer permits to do the work and get started, hopefully in April.
Thank you. Other questions? Can we call the roll?
Doherty,
Sorry, I've never been first before. Yeah, so yes.
Hennessis,
Hennessis, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Young,
Yes.
Allen.
Alan, aye. Okay. Thank you. All right. Next up, Kane County Economic Development Initiatives, staff updates. What do you want to talk to us about?
Well, I'm really excited about this next item. You've all heard of March Madness, where everyone gets those big those big brackets out for basketball tournaments, and there's lots of gambling. That's all fun and good. But in the manufacturing world, this is the 6th annual, hosted by IMA, the Illinois Manufacturers Association, Makers Madness. I put the map up on the screen, but I also sent it to everyone, so it was a little bit easier to read, excuse me. This is a open voting process that the public gets to pick the coolest thing made in Illinois. This is something that Kane County has been a fan of. There were over 200 products nominated last year. Kane County had 19 of them. We had things from envelopes to food products to sensors, gears, concretes, flags, just American Chem's detection systems. It's all sorts of things. We had companies make it all the way to the Elite 8, but we were beat out by Koimatsu's mining truck out of Peoria. It's one of those giant mining trucks, which I have to admit is pretty cool. But I brought to your attention this program a little bit earlier this year because we only had 19 companies nominated last year. And I think we can always find more in Kane County. The process takes about 15 minutes to nominate a company. You need to just know some basic information, their products, and have a picture of their product. The window for nominations is open from now until March 2nd, and anyone can nominate any company. It's something that, we're looking at companies that maybe we could potentially nominate. Julie Mann last year did a great job of updating Kane County Connects throughout the process. So the initial process, the nominations, then through the voting, through the different brackets. And I just wanted to make you guys aware of this in case there was a company in your district that you thought had a great product that you wanted to share that we could all vote on. Because next month I'm excited to share potentially any Kane County products that we can highlight and make sure that everyone gets out there and votes for them. It's just really exciting because this is another way we get to highlight the cool products that are made in Kane County. I remember last year, one of the more notable ones was Gindo's hot sauce out of St. Charles. I am not a hot sauce person, but my wife loves it. And it was something that we didn't know about until, Maker's Madness. So I encourage you, if you know someone, to go ahead and nominate them in your district. And if you do, let me know so that way we can do some extra promotion and we can just make sure that Kane County manufacturers are recognized for what they do here in our county.
Would you be willing to send this out to everybody? Just
Oh.
as a kind of heads up?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I sent an email to the jobs committee yesterday, but I can send it out to the full board so everyone's aware of it.
That'd be great. Okay, end of the report for the time being?
Yeah, that's my item.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. The Office of Community Reinvestment Workforce Development is headed up by Mr. Berger. He is not available but today, but his report is in the packet. I'm going to say if you have questions, you're welcome to call him directly or talk to me or Anita. Is there any new business for the good of the cause? I'm going, yes, Ms. Strathman, go right ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I was just wondering, Chris, when you talked about the March Madness and the makers part, my family of geeks has been involved with the makers fairs. Is there any thought about doing a makers fair in the county? Are you familiar with them?
I've been to something similar to that, but not in Illinois, where you go to see just different local products made by local manufacturers. That's something that we could consider. If you'd love to share more information about that, I'd like to
It's
see it.
not just manufacturers. It's like a science fair for adults.
Oh,
And it's people bring in all kinds of stuff. And there was one in Chicago and it's no longer, I think they ran into some administration problems, but it used to be very big in California and New York. And for the geeks in the area, they would love it. But my family, for instance, my son-in-law made a purse out of bottle caps and then lined it and then put in lights so that you could change the lights according to the color of your outfit. He made it for his daughter. So it's all these kinds of things that, geeky people love. So I will get in touch with you and give you some more information because it was a huge thing until they ran into this administration problem. So I'll be happy to get that information to you.
I would love that. We, back before the pandemic, we used to do articles through Kane County Connects called Made in Kane, just to highlight there's random weird things that were made throughout the county. And it was always so fun because part of it was I got to go tour the manufacturer or the company and, these little spaces and little corners of the county making just really weird products. It's always good to know it's being made locally and then we can always support that. So
Yeah.
yeah, please share that. Thank you.
I will. It would be very fun.
Mr. Roth.
Roth here. That triggered a thought. Veterans Affairs also has, job fairs, or not job fairs, but where they have veterans with different small businesses. And I think we should actually, that's a huge niche. And I'm a big proponent. We need to help our veterans as much as possible. And they had it down in Batavia at the VFW last year. And it was a pretty good turnout. But I think we need to work with them to help advertise that and get more people showing up and stuff. Because we can never do too much for our veterans. So I would talk to Jake about that. He could probably help you out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roth. I just wanted to wave this at everybody. This is a local newspaper that is shouting from the front page that Aurora's proposed Apex District could join the Outlet Mall and the new casino as a regional economic attraction. And that is certainly from their lips to God's ear and all of that. And I wish Elgin had something similar going on. Anyway, just wanted to toss this into the pot. Okay, any other information for the good of the cause? May I have a motion for unanimous consent to put the reports on file?
Genesis moved.
Thank you, Mr. Penesis. Is there any objection? Okay, that is done. No need for additional comments, no executive session. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Make the
Or
Make
we can
motion.
stay.
I'll leave.
All right, thank you, Mr. Young. Is there a second to adjourn?
Second.
Mr.
Penesis, second.
Penesis, all in favor of adjourning our meeting today?
Aye.
Thank you, folks, for coming and giving us quorum.
And I think you set a new record, 25 minutes. So
Yeah.
thank you.